2022 was a tumultuous year, marked by geopolitical tensions with the war in Ukraine, with spiking inflation and tighter monetary conditions on both sides of the Atlantic. Despite the headwinds, Cellnex grew strongly again, consolidating its position as the leading independent telecommunications infrastructure company in Europe. It was also a year of big changes for the company. Thank you for joining me. Cellnex opened up a new chapter in 2022. Not only were you focused on integrating past acquisitions, but in November, you announced a strategic change that really set the company on a different financial path. Mr. Kan, how would you sum up the Cellnex story in 2022?
Thank you. 2022 was a year of change for us. We consolidated and strengthened our position as European leader of telecoms infrastructure with our 130,000 towers in 12 countries. We added something important to that, which was we closed and integrated the acquisition of the Hutchison Towers in the UK. And this was a very significant milestone for us. At the same time, we faced significant macroeconomic uncertainty with increasing inflation and increasing rates. These were drivers that led us to adapt our financial strategy. We put in place a better capital allocation policy to optimize our returns and a greater focus on organic growth. This is all focused, or in part focused, on an important new goal, which is to reach investment grade by S&P in the next 24 months. We already have an investment grade rating with Fitch, but it's important also to have it from S&P. So this is a real new chapter in the evolution of Cellnex.
Mr. Martinez, how has this turbulent environment that Mr. Kan was referring to, how has that affected the way that you've had to run the business in 2022?
Well, as Bertrand said earlier, 2022 has been a very challenging year, of course. Very high interest rates, very high inflation, cost of the energy out of control. And obviously, we were challenging with all of these matters. But thanks to our inflation clauses in our contracts, thanks to our strict control cost, we have been able to maintain the control. And also, thanks to the pass-through cost of the energy with our customers, we have been able to reach all of our goals, and we expect to deliver our guidance in terms of revenues, in terms of EBITDA, and in terms of recurrent leverage free cash flow. All of those metrics are growing more than 40%. So I think we have to be proud of it in a very difficult moment. So in terms of financial cost, we have 78% at fixed rate, which is protecting us, but obviously we have to renew in 2024 our bonds. And this is the reason why one of the objectives currently is to reach also investment grade, which help us in order to keep under control our financial cost as well. So all in all, I think it's under control, but with a challenging 2023, and with a challenging 2022. So let's see what happened at the end of 2023 onwards, which I do expect to get a better context.
If we can talk about M&A for a moment. Since Cellnex listed in 2015 on the stock market, you've done over 40 deals, but which enabled you to become the European leader, as you mentioned before, of telecom infrastructure in Europe. Can you tell us a bit about why that changed in 2022 and what are the prospects for deals in 2023?
Of course. There are several factors that have affected our interest in M&A in 2022. First, we focused on the sector early, at a time when there was limited interest, limited competition, and prices were lower. This allowed us to do acquisitions and build critical mass, build scale, and become a relevant independent tower operator in Europe. Over time, in some ways, we were a victim of our own success because we drew more attention and more interest to the sector and more competition, which made it more difficult, more challenging for us to complete deals that fit our very strict financial criteria. Secondly, on the financial side, increasing interest rates made it more expensive and more difficult to finance transactions. Thirdly, after the flurry of deals over the past years, there are fewer interesting opportunities for us, and we think that'll be true for the foreseeable future. As for 2023, with the strategic pivot, with this new strategy, we're very focused on organic growth, not on inorganic growth. So that means that we will not be doing M&A as a first priority.
Yeah, that's clear. Thank you. And so now that you won't be doing as many deals as in the past, does that mean you're essentially going to be focusing on organic growth and managing the balance sheet?
Right. Our focus today is organic growth. We are starting a new chapter of our equity story. And the companies, we have to adapt on the new context. This is the reason why we are taking advantage of having more than 15 anchor tenants and being in 12 new countries. Our diversification allows us to leverage on our existing customers, which is very important, and we do expect to grow from 5 to 6% in organic growth, but also deleveraging the company. So this is very important because we have a commitment in order to reach investment grade with S&P at the end of 2024. So we have in front of us 24 months in order to reach investment grade. Just to remind that we are already investment grade by Fitch, but being investment grade by S&P, I think it's another achievement of the company in the current context. And then being in a very good positioning in order to refinance the existing fixed debt in the bond markets.
So with this new framework, do you think Cellnex will increase payout to shareholders at some point?
We have just approved in the board to keep the distribution policy the way it is for the time being. Our priority is to reach investment grade by S&P. We expect to have positive cash flow in 2024. And after reaching investment grade, we will have more flexibility and we can start considering increasing dividends or doing buybacks and changing our shareholder remuneration policy.
An important part of your new strategy is to work on the augmented tower co model, which is all the assets, the connectivity assets close to the towers that you've already started to develop with some of your customers. What potential do you see in this line of business?
Well, I want to convey the right message that, again, this is about organic growth. And organic growth is about towers, which is our core asset. Around of this core asset, we could find fiber to the tower, edge computing, because it's part of the 5G network topology, but also augmented tower co. We are delivering services in Poland to Polkomtel, and we do expect, to go ahead on this ride sharing, which is a fact today among the different telecom operators. So it means that at the end of the day, it's not a competitive advantage or is not something that it's forbidden in order to be more efficient, to reduce the capex, in order to reduce the operational cost. And I think it's a win-to-win transaction in which we are just working with our customers. So we are not running faster than our customers. We want to walk at the same pace of our customers. And if you look at Europe, the 5G rollout, it's a bit behind of US and China or east of Asia. And therefore, we do expect that also 5G will help us on the organic growth, but could allow us additional opportunities in order to continue growing on our existing customers with our existing countries.
If we can turn for a minute to people and talent, which is always a key factor in many companies, and there's a lot of demand now for STEM professionals. How do you attract talent at Cellnex? And then once you have it, how do you retain it?
Yeah, you are touching the key point. This is not about the quality of the iron of our towers. This is not our financing capability, which is very important, obviously. This is about people. This is about talent, which makes the difference. It's our competitive advantage. This is the most important value of this company. This is the key part of this company, and we want to take care of it. And when we talk about talent, we have to talk about diversity in terms of gender, in terms of cultural speaking, and being an international company, it's also an advantage because we are trying to improve this kind of diversity in a wider understanding. It's not just about gender, which is true. Our sector, telecommunication sector, has been historically, if I may say, very masculine, but currently we are finding more and more women coming from telecom, coming from management, human resources. So we are, I think, enriching the quality of the talent of our company, which is key in order to continue growing, in order to start this new chapter as well of our strategy. So the company is completely different than just 7 years ago when we born.
And how have you defined this purpose, the social purpose?
It's a good question. As a relatively young company, we hadn't gotten around to formally defining our purpose. So over the past months, we involved the whole company and its stakeholders to try and define what our purpose is. We are fortunate in that our infrastructure plays a key role in providing the communication services that affect and enhance all aspects of people's lives. That makes it meaningful. In addition, we play an important role in closing the digital gaps in geographic, in economic diversity, or even generational respects. And we foster social growth. As such, it's not difficult for us to come together on purpose, and that extends well beyond financial considerations.
And related to that, in terms of sustainability and your strategy there, you're halfway into your ESG master plan to 2025. What do you hope to achieve until that date?
We have very well-defined and audited targets for ESG, which are important because they help us run our business in a responsible manner. We are, as you say, halfway our second master plan. The first 5-year plan finished 2.5 years ago, I think, which we finished successfully. And we are also fully on target to meet all the objectives of the second plan. In terms of emissions, for instance, we are on track to be carbon neutral by 2035, and we are fully committed to net zero by 2050. In framing our ESG policies, we're very much focused on the key pillars. This is people, this is the energy transition and environment, it's the supply chain. So all these factors are key. We are very pleased to be recognized for our efforts in ESG. And I think amongst global telcos, we rank consistently in the top 5. In addition, CDP put us on their A list, which is very exclusive, for the 4th year in a row. So we're very, very happy to be recognized for what we've been doing.
Mr. Martinez, we spoke last year of the Cellnex Foundation. It was the first year. And how would you rate the Cellnex Foundation's second year? To what extent does it complement Cellnex's own social commitments?
Well, this is a compliment, it's a key compliment. You're right, because this is the structure in which we are trying to reduce, for instance, the breach of the digital divide, but socially and geographically speaking. So this is very important because telecommunications is about opportunities in life. It's not just about connectivity. It's not just about business. It's about opportunities for people in terms of education, in terms of information. We are launching the second edition of the Cellnex Startups program, in which we are doubling the number of the companies in which we are investing, we are working, we are helping them in order to accelerate such kind of startups with social purpose. And we are also increasing our program on working with young people, trying to help them and to improve the employability of people, of young people in risk. So we are working hard, just 2 years old, but with a lot of projects in mind.
And then a final question for Mr. Martinez. After 8 years as CEO and leading the company since the IPO, when Cellnex had 7,500 towers in a single country, and now you have over 130,000 in 12 countries, you took the decision to step down in June 2023. Over the course of your tenure, can you tell us about your highlights or what you're most proud of?
Well, difficult to say just one, but maybe if we look back and being in 12 countries in Europe in less than 8 years, I think it is above of our expectations, believe me. And this is, again, thanks to the team, thanks to the people. This is not about one man or one woman. It's about a team. And I thank my team because they are the best one in this sector. They are delivering always, anytime, everywhere. And this is about talent. And I feel very proud about them. This is the reason why Cellnex is a kind of successful company creating this sector in Europe. And well, I have the firm believer that this company is very well positioning in order to continue growing, in order to adapt on the current context and to overcome all of the difficulties and to go beyond of the current portfolio of products, the current perimeter of geographies, and again, to deliver social services and to be well connected with the society.
Well, Mr. Martinez, Mr. Kan, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.